The hospital's emergency room hummed with its usual midnight chaos as Caleb Morrow scrubbed his hands at the nurse's station. 3 years as a trauma surgeon had taught him to compartmentalize, focus on the patient, ignore everything else. His phone vibrated against his hip. Serena's name flashed across the screen. "Hey, just finished a procedure. Everything okay?" He wedged the phone between his shoulder and ear while reviewing a chart. "Caleb." Her voice carried that particular brightness she used when performing for others. Something tightened in his chest. "I wanted to let you know, I'm finalizing the divorce today." The background noise hit him then. Clinking glasses. Female voices. The realization crashed over him. Speakerphone. "Oh my God, Serena, you're actually doing it," a voice squealed. "About damn time," another added. 3 years of him choosing surgeries over you. Laughter erupted, sharp, cruel, cutting through the phone line like scalpels. Caleb's grip tightened on the chart until his knuckles whitened. He recognized those voices. Jennifer and Amanda, Serena's college friends who'd never hidden their disdain for his profession. "Caleb." Serena's voice carried mock concern. "You still there?" He should have been shocked. Hurt. Instead, he felt eerily calm, the same detachment that settled over him before making a critical incision. Because unlike Serena and her wine-drunk audience, he knew something they didn't. For 3 months, he'd known about Lucas Hale. The first clue had been innocent enough, a restaurant charge on their joint credit card from a night Serena claimed she'd worked late at the marketing firm. Then came the new lingerie he'd never seen her wear. The way she angled her phone away when texting. The sudden interest in hiking, an activity she'd always despised, that coincided with Lucas's Instagram posts from local trails. Caleb had hired a private investigator not out of jealousy, but necessity. The financial irregularities he'd noticed required proof. Withdrawals from their savings account. Transfers to accounts he didn't recognize. His signature on documents he'd never signed, including preliminary divorce papers filed 6 weeks ago without his knowledge. "I'm here," he said quietly, his voice cutting through their laughter. "Just one question, Serena." The mocking noise faded slightly. "Does Lucas know you've been draining our accounts?" Silence. "Does he know about the forged signatures? The consultation you had with my attorney, the one who actually called me because something felt off?" Complete silence now. "Enjoy your wine, Serena. My lawyer will be in touch." He ended the call and returned to his patient, leaving chaos blooming in that wine bar. Serena's hand trembled as she lowered her phone. Around their corner table at Vintage and Vine, her 3 friends had gone statue still. Jennifer's wine glass hovered halfway to her lips. Amanda's smirk had frozen into something uncertain. Rachel, who'd been filming the call for social media, slowly lowered her phone. "What just happened?" Jennifer finally asked. "His bluffing." Serena's voice came out higher than intended. "Caleb doesn't pay attention to anything except his precious surgeries. He doesn't even know what I do at work, let alone." "You forged his signature." Rachel interrupted, her expression shifting from gleeful to alarmed. "Serena, that's..." "I didn't forge anything." But even as she said it, Serena's mind raced back 3 weeks. Lucas had brought the papers to her apartment, the one she'd rented after moving out of the house she'd shared with Caleb. "Just sign here," he'd said, pointing to lines highlighted in yellow. "And here, where Caleb would sign. We'll say you both agreed verbally." Speeds everything up. Lucas. Her Lucas, with his confident smile and promises about their future together. The co-worker who'd started in her department 18 months ago, all charm and ambition. Who'd listened to her complaints about Caleb's endless shifts, who'd made her feel seen in ways her husband never had. "I need to call Lucas." Serena stood abruptly, nearly knocking over her wine. She retreated to the restaurant's hallway, her heels clicking against hardwood as she dialed. Lucas answered on the 3rd ring, his voice warm and sleepy. She could picture him in his downtown loft, probably in bed. "Hey, beautiful. Finished celebrating?" "Caleb knows." The words tumbled out. About the accounts, about the signatures. Lucas, did we actually forge anything? A pause. Too long. Serena, calm down. What exactly did he say? She repeated the conversation, her voice breaking as she heard it aloud. When she finished, Lucas's breathing had changed. The thing is, he said slowly, I might have expedited some of the financial arrangements. Nothing illegal, just. Expedited? Lucas, he mentioned his attorney. He said someone called him because something felt off. Listen, baby, you're panicking. Caleb's playing you. Think about it. If he actually knew something, why wait until now? Why not confront you weeks ago? The logic should have been comforting. Instead, Serena remembered something she'd always known but chosen to ignore. Caleb Morrow never made rash decisions. He observed, analyzed, planned. It's what made him an exceptional surgeon. And potentially, she realized with growing dread, a formidable opponent. Caleb arrived home at 6 a.m. to find his lawyer, Patricia Hendricks, already waiting in her Mercedes. She'd called him 3 times during his shift, unprecedented for a woman who prided herself on respecting boundaries. Patricia. He approached her car, exhaustion pulling at his shoulders. What's wrong? She emerged holding a thick folder. I got served this morning. Serena's attorney is pushing for an emergency hearing, claiming you're hiding assets and refusing to cooperate with the divorce. Her expression was grave. Caleb, they filed a restraining order request. They're saying you've been threatening and controlling. The accusation hit like a physical blow. That's insane. I haven't even spoken to her except, he stopped, remembering last night's call. She called me, put me on speaker with her friends while she announced the divorce. Patricia's jaw tightened. Did you threaten her? I asked if Lucas knew about the forged documents and drained accounts. That's it. Because those things exist. Patricia opened the folder, revealing bank statements he'd never seen. Your signatures are all over withdrawals totaling $80,000 over 4 months. Transfers to a joint account between Serena and Lucas Hale, opened 3 months ago. Caleb's mind spun. $80,000. I never signed any of this. I know. I had them analyzed. She handed him another document. These are preliminary results from a handwriting expert. The signatures are forgeries, good ones, but forgeries. Serena likely practiced your signature using old documents. Then we have her. A bitter satisfaction filled his chest. Not quite. Patricia's expression remained troubled. They're claiming you gave verbal permission for all transfers, that you were controlling the finances and became aggressive when Serena wanted independence. They have texts, Caleb. Messages you allegedly sent threatening to destroy her if she left. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through his conversation with Serena. Nothing matched what Patricia described. I never sent those. Someone did. From your number. The implications crystallized. Lucas works in IT consulting. He could spoof messages. Possibly. But proving it before the emergency hearing tomorrow afternoon. Patricia shook her head. We need leverage. Something that makes them back down fast. Caleb thought of the private investigator's reports locked in his office safe. Photos of Serena and Lucas at hotels. Emails discussing creative accounting for her business expenses paid from accounts Lucas managed. Text messages where they'd laughed about Caleb being too busy saving lives to notice what was happening under his nose. I have leverage, he said quietly. Question is whether I want to use it this way. Patricia studied him. She's trying to paint you as abusive, drain your accounts, and walk away with your reputation destroyed. What exactly are you hesitating about? Good question. Despite everything, part of him still remembered the woman he'd married. Serena before Lucas, before the bitterness, when her laughter had been genuine and meant for him alone. That woman was gone. He needed to accept it. Come inside, he told Patricia. I'll show you everything. The emergency hearing took place in Judge Martin's chambers, a walnut-paneled room that smelled of old law books and strong coffee. Serena sat between her attorney, Gerald Marks, and Lucas. She'd chosen her outfit carefully, a conservative navy dress, minimal makeup, her wedding ring conspicuously absent. The image of a woman escaping abuse. Across the table, Caleb looked exhausted. Good. Let him feel what she'd felt during 3 years of cancelled dinners and forgotten anniversaries. Lucas squeezed her hand under the table. "You've got this," he whispered. "Just stick to the script." Judge Martin entered, and everyone stood. She was a severe woman in her 60s, known for no-nonsense rulings. "Let's make this quick. I've reviewed the filings. Mr. Marks, you're claiming Dr. Morrow has been financially controlling and threatening. Dr. Morrow's attorney claims forgery and fraud. Both serious allegations." Gerald stood smoothly. "Your Honor, my client has endured years of emotional abuse masked by Dr. Morrow's professional success. When she finally found the courage to leave, he threatened to destroy her. We have text messages." "Fabricated text messages," Patricia interrupted, rising. "Your Honor, we have proof those messages were spoofed from Dr. Morrow's number. We also have something else." She placed a folder before the judge. Serena's stomach clenched. "What is this?" Judge Martin asked, flipping it open. "Bank records showing Mrs. Morrow opened a joint account with Lucas Hale 3 months ago, using funds withdrawn from accounts requiring both spouses' signatures. Signatures that a handwriting expert has confirmed are forgeries." Gerald was already shaking his head. Dr. Morrow gave verbal permission. "We also have communications between Mrs. Morrow and Mr. Hale." Patricia laid down more documents. Emails discussing how to redistribute assets before the divorce. Text messages mocking Dr. Morrow for being too focused on work to notice. And photographs from a private investigator documenting their affair dating back 18 months. The room went silent except for pages turning. Judge Martin's expression darkened as she read. Serena felt Lucas's hand slip from hers. She looked at him, but he was staring at the table, jaw tight. "Your Honor," Gerald tried again, "even if there was an affair." "There's more." Patricia's voice was steel. "Mr. Hale works in IT consulting. We have evidence suggesting he accessed Dr. Morrow's phone remotely to send those threatening messages. We're prepared to file criminal charges for identity fraud, forgery, and theft." Judge Martin looked up, her gaze settling on Lucas with obvious distaste, then shifting to Serena. "Mrs. Morrow, did you forge your husband's signature on financial documents?" Serena's mouth went dry. She looked to Gerald, who gave a barely perceptible shake of his head. But Lucas had gone pale, and she suddenly understood something terrible. He'd never thought they'd get caught. Her voice cracked. "We needed money for," Lucas said it was fine, that married couples did this all the time. "You forged his signature," Judge Martin stated flatly. "And you, Mr. Hale, helped her. Then attempted to frame Dr. Morrow as abusive to cover your tracks." "It wasn't like that." Serena stood, desperation rising. "Caleb was never there. 3 years of marriage and he chose his patience over me every single time." Lucas understood. "Lucas helped you commit fraud," the judge interrupted coldly. 6 months later, Caleb sat in his new downtown apartment, paperwork spread across the dining table. The divorce had been finalized 2 weeks ago, a quiet, anticlimactic end compared to the explosive hearing. Serena had been ordered to return every stolen dollar plus penalties. Lucas had lost his job when his employer discovered the identity fraud charges. Criminal prosecution was still pending, though Patricia believed they'd take plea deals. The restraining order request had been denied. Instead, Judge Martin had issued one protecting Caleb from contact with either Serena or Lucas. He should have felt vindicated. Instead, he mostly felt tired. His phone buzzed. Jennifer, one of Serena's friends from that awful speakerphone call. He nearly deleted it unread, but curiosity won. "I owe you an apology. We all do. Serena told us you were controlling and cold. We believed her because, honestly, we wanted to. It made good drama. I'm sorry we laughed. For what it's worth, she's in therapy now. Not that you care. You shouldn't. Anyway. Sorry. Caleb stared at the message. An apology, however inadequate, was more than he'd expected. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. He opened it to find his colleague, Dr. Rachel Morrison, holding takeout bags and a bottle of wine. "You're off tomorrow," she announced, pushing past him. "I'm off tomorrow. We're watching terrible movies and eating food that'll make our cardiologist colleagues weep." Rachel had been relentless in her friendship since the divorce went public at the hospital. She'd brought him coffee during brutal shifts, texted him terrible jokes at 3 a.m., and generally refused to let him retreat into isolation. "I'm really not great company right now," he warned. "Good thing I'm great enough for both of us." She started unpacking containers. "Also, this isn't optional. Dr. Stevens said if I let you brood alone one more weekend, he's assigning you mandatory counseling sessions." Despite everything, Caleb smiled. "He can't do that." "Want to test him?" She handed him a wine glass. "Look, I'm not going to pretend I know what you're feeling. But I do know that Serena and Lucas don't get to steal your ability to trust people. You're allowed to heal without hating everyone." They settled on the couch, terrible action movie playing in the background. Rachel kept up a running commentary, deliberately absurd observations that gradually pulled real laughs from him. Hours later, as she gathered her things to leave, she paused at the door. "Caleb, for what it's worth, any woman who needs to humiliate you on speakerphone to feel powerful was never worthy of you anyway. You deserve someone who celebrates your dedication, not resents it." After she left, Caleb returned to the couch, her words echoing. He thought about the speakerphone call that had started everything, Serena's calculated cruelty, her friend's laughter, the moment he decided to stop being hurt and start protecting himself. He'd learned something valuable from the wreckage. Silence wasn't weakness. Observation wasn't passivity. And sometimes the quietest response carried the most power. His phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Patricia, final documents signed. "You're officially free. Congratulations." Free. The word felt strange but accurate. Free from lies, from betrayal, from trying to love someone who'd made him her villain. Caleb raised his wine glass to the empty apartment. "To new chapters," he said quietly. Outside, the city lights sparkled like possibilities, and for the first time in months, he felt ready to embrace them.